Wolves 2, Man City 1. It was a very bad performance yesterday. It's not the fact that we lost that disappointed me. It's that how we played, because I felt like there was no passion or fight yesterday from any of the players. And we need to stop pretending that Wolves are this great side, because they're not. I know they've got a few half-decent players like the likes of Pedro Neto and that fella who scored the second goal. I don't know how to say his name. I think it's Chan or something. Even though we've got a few players out due to injury and suspension, we should still be beating them. But we've still had a good start to the season because we've won 6 out of 7 matches in the Premier League. And yes, we've got knocked out of the Carabao Cup, so it makes it 2 losses in a row. But the Carabao Cup was a game that I wasn't so bothered about because we weren't able to win the competition this year because of the Club World Cup. If we were to get through to the semi-final, we would have had to have done it with like the youth team, because we're playing in the Club World Cup in December for a competition that we're into because of winning the Champions League. And because of us being in that in December, that's why we'd have had to have rotated if we got to the quarterfinals. So I did make sense that we really rotated in that game. I think there's some players that will be lucky to be at City this time next year, the likes of Akanji and Calvin Phillips, because I think people will say it's harsh to criticise Akanji, but I personally don't rate him, because even though when he first came in the door he was pretty good, but since then he's been pretty poor. It's just that there's not been many games that he's been poor in that have actually led to us losing the game, and that's why no one's criticised him. And I think if Grealish doesn't improve, who's been pretty poor all season, then there's also a possibility that he might not be here next year as well. My player ratings, Ederson, not much he could do about either goal, because the first one, it took a massive deflection off Ruben Diaz, so there's not much he could have done about that. So I'm going to say 6 out of 10 for him. Kyle Walker. He's not been great all season. But for this game, I'm going to say 4 out of 10. Very, very poor. On to the centre-backs. Ruben Diaz. I know he got an own goal, but apart from that, I think he was our best defender in the game. And I'm going to give him a 6.5 out of 10. And on to Nathan Ake, who was really poor. And I don't know what Gvardiol's got to do to start in this team. I'm going to give Ake a 4 out of 10 as well. And on to Akanji, arguably our worst player in the entire game yesterday. I'm going to give him a 3 out of 10. Absolutely shambolic. And I don't know why Pep plays him like pretty much every game. I know he can play the inverted role of fullback, but other than that, he's bang average. And if it wasn't for that, he'd probably be playing for a mid-table Premier League team and not like a team competing for like big titles. On to the midfield, because obviously you had Kovacic, Nunes, in there. And Alvarez. Alvarez, I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Because even though he scored, he didn't really do much else in the game. He was quite quiet other than that. Kovacic, I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10. His worst display since coming to City. Because he's been really good since joining, but this has been his worst game without a shadow of a doubt. Núñez was really poor yesterday, sorry. I think he gets a 4 out of 10. The front three, Doku, his worst game for City as well. I'm going to say 5 out of 10 for him. Haaland gets a 4 out of 10. His less effective game for City in his entire time at the club. And then Phil Foden, who was absolutely horrific yesterday. And I'm going to give him a 3 out of 10. On to the substitutes. You had Grealish came on, who offered absolutely nothing. So I'm going to give him a 4. And you had Oscar Bobby, who came on, who did half decent when he came on. I'm giving him a 7. And you've got Calvin Phillips, who came on, who was at fault for the second goal. I'm going to give him a 4 as well. We've got Leipzig midweek, who we've got to get 3 points against. Because I know it's only a Champions League group stage match, but I feel like if we lose that, then it will affect our confidence completely, because going into the Arsenal game, we'd have 3 defeats in a row. So that's why we've got to beat Leipzig on Wednesday, to give us any sort of confidence or momentum going into that Arsenal game next Sunday away from home. I still think we've had a solid start to the season. I'd give our start to the season an 8 out of 10, because I thought we'd had lost quite a few games, or at least drawn a couple of games by now, and we've lost one meaningful game against Wolves and one meaningless game in the Carabao Cup against Newcastle, where we had no chance of winning that competition anyway, because if we got to a certain stage of the competition, like the quarterfinals, we would have had to have played youth, and then we probably would have ended up getting knocked out anyway. And it could be worse, because we could be United or Chelsea, because United have had their worst start to a season in a very long time. And Chelsea have continued on last season's mess. And a good thing is Liverpool also got beat yesterday, our main title rivals in my opinion. Even though they did get slightly robbed by some refereeing decisions, it's still a good thing that they ended up losing, because if they ended up winning, then they would have overtaken us, but luckily that they didn't. I'll be back with some more content regarding the Leipzig game during this week, and I'll do a combined 11 for the Arsenal game at some point. Thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for another video soon.